episode of Throwing It Back with Sean Farrell. I am Sean Farrell. God is great all the time. All the time, God is great. Jesus Christ died. He rose again. Just gonna head and get into it. I know I haven't uploaded in a while, but man, got a lot of things going on. Got a lot of things going on. So I'm gonna try to upload as much as I possibly can. Okay. So I was thinking about this the other day. I was thinking about the Chicago Bulls before Michael Jordan, okay? And I think the Bulls set two records. One when Michael Jordan wasn't there, and one when Michael Jordan was there. I made a video a while back saying how they made the playoffs in their second season, 1968, winning only 29 games. Okay, yes, they made the playoffs in their second season as a franchise, winning only 29 games. Okay, so and this is when the NBA went to an 82 game format. No, the NBA went to an 82 game format in 1968. Okay. So the new format, 1968, the 82 games. Chicago Bulls won 29 games, and they made the playoffs. Think about that for a second, okay? You win 20 plus games, and you make the playoffs. You win 20 plus games, and you make the playoffs, okay? And I know it was 1968. There were a lot less teams back then, but still, you're not supposed to make the playoffs winning 29 games in a season, okay? But the Chicago Bulls did, okay? They also probably are the only franchise in NBA history to make the NBA playoffs winning only 30 games. Which they did in 1986, okay? That probably just goes to show you how bad the Eastern Conference was, okay? It just goes to show you how bad the Eastern Conference was. And clearly the big dogs of the Eastern Conference at that time were Boston and Philly, okay? So Boston, Philly, and Milwaukee, okay? Those were clearly the big dogs of the Eastern Conference back then, okay? But yeah, so the Bulls, as Bob Costa said in the last dance, were pretty mediocre before Jordan got there. But they did make the playoffs a couple of years in a row, 1970, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75. They were one of the more consistent NBA teams in the 70s, or for the first half of the 70s, okay? And the Bulls at that time, they were a Western Conference team, okay? They were the Western Conference team, so that means they were in the same conference as the Lakers and, yes, the Milwaukee Bucks back then. They were a Western Conference team, okay? I kid you not. The Milwaukee Bucks were a Western Conference team. And those were the two problems that Chicago Bulls always had when they went into the playoffs. They either had to face Wilt and Jerry West or Kareem and Oscar Robertson, okay? And they could never get past those two teams, okay? They can never get past those two teams. However, in 1975, they made a trade, okay? They trade their big hit man. The Bulls trade their big hit man, Clifford Ray, to the Golden State Warriors for their big man, Nate Thurmond. I paused for a second because I was thinking of Artis Gilmore, okay? I was thinking of Artis Gilmore for some reason, okay? But anyway, yeah, so the Bulls trade Clifford Ray to Golden State for Nate Thurmond, okay? And the great irony is this, okay? Here is the great irony about that trade, okay? The Bulls have a good season. The Golden State Warriors have a good season. Golden State is a Western Conference. The Bulls are in the same conference as Golden State. They just so happened to meet in the 1975 Western Conference Finals, okay? It was a hard-fought 7-game series, okay? But in the end, the Chicago Bulls came up short, okay? And the great irony of that trade was Clifford Ray goes to Golden State, Nate Thurmond goes to Chicago. Golden State defeats Chicago in the 7-game series. Golden State goes on to win the NBA championship. The irony, right? The irony. Man.
And they got off to a promising start, winning 33 games that first season, the most ever by an NBA expansion team. But over the next few years, the Bulls struggled. They couldn't get above the 500 mark and couldn't get past the first round of the playoffs. Still, they did have a solid building block in guard Jerry Sloan, a blue-collar star with a hard-nosed style who was named to the league's all-defensive first team 4 times in his career.
I built as much as I could around Sloan. When I went to Chicago, I only had the one viable player. And I recognized that within 25 or 30 seconds that I had a diamond.
Chicago also added 2 high-scoring forwards, a smooth shooter named Bob Love, who would lead the team in scoring 7 straight years, and Chet Walker, a 7-time All-Star who had championship experience with the 1967 Philadelphia 76ers.
Well, I think we complemented each other very well because he likes to sit low. He likes to sit low and start his game inside and move out. And most of the time, my game, I started outside. I would move down low.
Bob Love was probably the most underrated all-around forward that ever played a game in a set.
Team of all time. Had there been no 24-second clock, I can categorically state they would have won at least 2 championships. The Dick Motta teams ran the clock better than any team, the most precise half-court offense of its time.
In 1971, they won 51 games, 3rd best in the league, and took the Lakers to 7 games in the Western Conference playoffs. The following year, Chicago acquired another scrappy guard, 3-time All-Star Norm Van Lier, who would join with Sloan to form the toughest backcourt of their time. And the Bulls continue to improve, but again were eliminated by the Lakers the next 2 seasons. In 1974, the Bulls made the playoffs for the 7th time in 8 years and finally made it past the first round, only to lose in the conference finals. By now, the Bulls had forged an identity based in future Hall of Famer Nate Thurmond, who would help the Bulls to their first division title. They reached the Western Conference Finals and came within 1 game of the NBA Finals before losing to the eventual champions, the Golden State Warriors.
After we lost Western Finals to the Warriors, the team started to go through a transitional period.
The Bulls began to slide. Chet Walker retired, Coach Dick Motta departed, and Jerry Sloan and Bob Love soon followed. The Bulls of the late 70s became a team in disarray. They reshuffled players and coaches, but nothing could halt their decline into mediocrity. They did have some talent with dominating center Artis Gilmore, along with all-star guard Reggie Theus, one of the league's top scorers, and explosive forward Orlando Woolridge. Still, Chicago missed the playoffs 6 times in 7 years, hitting rock bottom in 1984 when they won just 27 games.
Yeah, so I think man, if they would have made the finals in 1975 and beat the Washington Bullets, okay? If they would have made the finals in 1975 and beat the Washington Bullets, Golden State went on to sweep the Bullets in 1975, okay? So, I'm not saying the Bulls would have swept the Bullets in the NBA Finals, but they probably would have won. They probably would have beat that great team with Wes Unseld, Phil Chenier, Elvin Hayes, right? So yeah, I just thinking about if they had won that 7th game against Golden State in 1975, and I watched that game the other day. They were this close. They were this close. And sometimes when you're that close and you lose, that has quite an effect on you, okay? And so when 1976 came around, okay, by the time the 1976 season started, let me hold on. Okay. So the drop off was really staggering, okay? They went from one game. They went from one game from going to the NBA Finals in 1975 to crashing out in 1976, okay? The previous season in 1975, they were 47-35, okay? They came within one game of nearly making the NBA Finals. 1976, 24-58. They returned to the playoffs in 1977. Lost to Portland in the first round. 1978, 40-42. 1979, 31-51. 1980, 30-52. 1981, 45-37. 1982, 34-48. 28-54 in 1983. 27-55 in 1984. Yeah. So, so those 70s Bulls teams, man, they had talent. Bob Love, Chet Walker, one of the best defensive guards ever to play, Norm and Lier. Hall of Famer Jerry Sloan, rest in peace. Tom Boerwinkle, right? And you heard what Bob Ryan said. I guess he was being sarcastic when he said the Chicago Bulls, the greatest high school team of all time. Bob Ryan said, had there been no 24-second clock, I can categorically state they would have won at least two championships. Okay, so oh yeah, but it just wasn't meant to be for the Bulls of the 70s. Okay, and sometimes you got to find the right player to take you over the up top, and it all started with Air Jordan in 1984, and then they built upon that, and then the rest is history. Okay, so hold on, do I want to get into that topic? Okay, hold on, let me see. Let me see something real quick. Okay, no. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'll get into that topic another other time, okay? Yeah. All right, yeah. So that's it. That's all for Throwing It Back with Sean Farrell. I am out of here. May God bless you all. Peace out. God bless.